Well, staffers for Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr. say he'll be back at work soon, despite that diagnosis of bipolar II depression. Getting back to work also means campaigning for re-election. His Republican opponent, Brian Woodworth, joins me now from the Tribune Tower to talk about this race. Also on the phone, Marcus Lewis, the independent in this race, joins me as well. Gentlemen, good evening to both of you.
Good evening. Good evening.
All right, Brian, let me start with you over at Tribune Tower, and let me ask you this. I'm just going to be blunt about this. Some people say, you know what, if Jesse Jackson Jr. runs, he wins. What's your thought about really turning this thing around? Can you?
Well, absolutely. Part of the story here is for people to stop and ask themselves. He's been in office for 17 years. Has their life improved? What has he actually done? We have some of his greatest achievements was the Harvey Mall got demolished. He brought water to Ford Heights, which could have been done with a grant. And so has their life improved, or have we seen more and more businesses leave? I mean, there's a reason why his district got extended down to include Kankakee County. Over 100,000 people have fled his district over the last 10 years. Something needs to change, and that's what hoping them to see. I'm hoping the people to say, is Jackson the right person for us anymore? This is just an opportunity for them to be able to reflect and say, maybe not.
All right, I'm going to ask, actually, let me ask Brian about that. And by the way, I won't use the term crazy because, I mean, you know, listen, mental illness is a concern, and it's a serious concern, and that is what he's been diagnosed with. But Brian, let me ask you, there is speculation, Marcus sort of put it out there, some people think that one way or another, August 24th, I think, is the last day that Jesse Jackson Jr. could drop out of this race. If he dropped out prior to that, Joe Barrios, head of the Democratic Party, Cook County, I think, is the one that would step in and replace him. Some think it might be a way to put Sandy Jackson or somebody else in there. That's the skeptic point of view. What do you think? Is any of that going on, do you think? Afterwards, by the way, Governor Quinn, after August 24th, Governor Quinn would have to call for some sort of special election and move in that direction.
Well, my concern here, and I've heard the speculation too. I've heard people saying, well, you know, the Jacksons are trying to set up Sandy or a younger brother to fill that position. And I'll tell you what, if that's the plan, I think the voters, especially on the Democratic Party, should be in an uproar. I mean, you're talking about the death knell of democracy when voters no longer have a choice as to who their representatives are going to be, but instead the party can simply appoint. And if you're talking somebody that's still within the family, wow, that just screams of aristocracy, and that's something we should not be having. We're about democracy. We're about the voters.
All right, we're going to, Marcus, hang with me. We're going to take a quick break. I'll be back with Brian Woodworth and Marcus Lewis after these words. Stay with us.
Thank you.
And we're talking with the challengers to Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr. in the 2nd District at Trib Tower, Brian Woodworth, the Republican candidate. I want to get Brian, let me come to you real quick. First of all, Jesse Jackson Jr.'s main project, the 3rd airport. Do you support the 3rd airport?
Well, it's not a matter of whether I support the 3rd airport or not, because the 3rd airport's really a state issue. That Will County leaders have been arguing. They've been planning for this airport for over a decade. Jackson's actually gotten in there, and he's muddled the waters by trying to get involved. He should have just left it alone. It's a state issue. If the people want it, they need to elect the legislators who are going to be in support of it.
All right, Brian Woodworth, your #1 priority.
#1 priority is to cut off the milking the government for funds and get jobs and manufacturing to come back to the district that brings real economic improvement for the people.
All right, Brian Woodworth, Marcus Lewis, lots of discussion in a short amount of time. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I'm Paul Lisnek. We'll see you tomorrow night for another edition of Politics Tonight. Good night.